Hey guys, this is Real again with Heavy Metal Reptiles, and today we're going to talk about 5 things you should be doing with your snakes. Now, these are things that the beginning reptile keeper should know. When I got into doing this stuff, I adopted some things that my grandma used to do when she bred chihuahuas. So some of this stuff kind of or one or two of these things probably come from helping her when she bred her chihuahuas. Some of these things I adopted and things as I went and talked to people and learned a little bit. So there's one on the list that everybody's going to think I'm crazy for, but I wholeheartedly believe in all these. So we'll go ahead and jump into the first one. By the way, I forgot to say we have Firestorm out. We were supposed to have Zoom out for this video, but for whatever reason he's in a hunting mood and he shouldn't be hungry yet. But for the video's sake of me not getting bit every 2 seconds, we got Firestorm out instead. The first thing we're going to talk about is soaking. And this is one of those things that it comes down to knowing your reptile for the most part and knowing the signs to look for when your snake needs to go in for a soak. Some people say it's only when they go into shed, but that's not necessarily the truth. If you notice your snake is dehydrated, probably time to do a soak. Going into shed is a good time to soak them, but it's not required. If your humidity and things are right, you get a full shed. I typically don't soak my snakes before a shed just because they've always had perfect sheds. There's really no need to put them through that stress, because there is a little bit of stress to soaking them, especially because you're putting them in a container that isn't their normal enclosure and putting the lid on them and it's full of water. When you do soak your snake, rule of thumb is that it shouldn't be over. So when I do it, I fill it to the thickness part of their body. So I do that so they can stay underwater, but I also, and this is something you guys should do too, is I sit and I watch them while they're in the soak. I don't leave them unattended, and I do that though just so I know they can get their full body under the water if they want to, and if not, they kind of just float up to the top, believe it or not. So I can go in depth in another video as far as soaking and all the things you need to do when you do that, but it is something that you need to be doing with your reptile or your snake at least, I would say, once a month, just to make sure that they're hydrated. I also use vitamins when I soak that they absorb and drink. So we'll go ahead and move on to the next one. So this next one is the one everyone's going to think I'm crazy for, but exercise. Your snakes need exercise. Your enclosure, yeah, it's nice and big, but you definitely need to let them get out like this and move. They aren't restricted necessarily if you're keeping them in the proper size enclosure, but for them to get out into an open setting, again, this is one of those things where there might be a little stress to them, but it can't hurt, and I think it's highly beneficial mentally and physically for the snake to get in that exercise. So, like I said, people might think I'm crazy, but especially with a snake like Zoom, that's why I wanted to zoom out for this one, and a lizard like Lilith, which is why I wanted Lilith out, a blue-tongued skink and a Florida king snake. Those two specific animals do a lot of moving in the wild. There was a thing I was reading the other day where they tracked a king snake that actually traveled 4 miles in a day. So I mean, for us, that's like, yeah, not bad, but for one of these guys, or a snake, that's pretty impressive. Lizards do a lot of moving. That's why they recommend such big enclosures for blue-tongued skinks, and not only that, but they get massive, not massive, but big. I mean, oversized potatoes, pretty much. So they do require exercise, and it is good, I think, like I said, mentally and physically, to let them get out and kind of roam around, whether it's on your couch or your floor. Keep an eye on them and let them kind of do their thing. I do it with all my snakes at least once every other week. I don't think it needs to be constantly. Like I said, it is a little stressful for them, but everyone gets out about once every other week for some exercise, except for these sunbeams that we've got. I don't know if I'm going to do exercise with them like I do with these guys, since they spend all their time underground. I don't think it would be beneficial at all, really, for them to be out on the hard floor. So maybe I'll get like a dirt box together or something to put them in for a couple hours or something. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the next one. Okay, guys, this next one is extremely important, and it's checking your sheds. Whenever you notice your snake's going into blue, like Baphomet right now is in, I don't really know if it's a deep blue or the beginning stages of blue, because his body's really blue, but his eyes aren't. So, oh, it was your feet. Don't do that to me. That tripped me out. I thought I was about to get attacked from behind. Bloody Mary was about to slice my throat. Anyways, what was I talking about? Oh, sheds. Checking your sheds is extremely important, now that we're back on topic. Checking your sheds are extremely important because your sheds tell a lot. Like I was saying, Baphomet looks like he's going into a shed. When Baphomet sheds out, I want to get into that shed within the first day. I know some people don't worry about it too much, about getting in and looking at them, but for me, I can see and tell a lot, not only by their enclosure, or about their enclosure and the husbandry, but also illness and things like that from the shed. You get a good full shed, no flaky sheds, you're doing great. You got a flaky shed, you need to start checking your humidity and your husbandry and things like that. But that can also be caused from illness, which would kind of probably be something that, unless there was some type of physical identifier, you wouldn't know until you've tried all other options. So we'll go ahead and move on to the next section. So taking weight for your snakes, and this isn't throughout their whole life. Once they hit adulthood, unless you're breeding them, there's not a whole lot of reason to take weight, in my opinion. You can kind of visually see for dieting and things. You are just skittish as can be today, buddy. Yeah, Firestorm here is also on a food strike with us right now for whatever reason. Part of the reason why I decided to get him out instead of any of the others after Zoom got in his mood was just because I want to see what's going on with him and how he's acting and things. So, but checking weight, especially when they're this size, and keeping a good track of their weight is very important for growth. So right now, last time I weighed him, I'm thinking he was 70, 80 grams. He wasn't at 100, or he was at 100. I can't remember. I'll have to check. But I keep, or try to keep, a pretty good track of everybody's weight for situations like this where, you know, he's refused food 2 weeks in a row now. So I want to know when he starts losing weight, because then that's when things kind of start to get serious. At least for me, I want to make sure that if he's starting to lose weight, that I'm starting to do everything I can and trying every possible route. Some people say, oh, it's fine, let him go 6-7 months, and that's fine, but I want to be trying every step of the way. So, and it's good to track their growth and their weight and things. You want to really be on top of it, because these guys can turn in no time and end up in sticky situations. It's really not hard for their health to turn on them. It's not something common you hear, but it's proven time and time again with them. So just something to keep in mind. And like I said, you never want to, if you notice the weight change and they're losing weight, you want to make sure you have an eye on it and they're doing everything possible to fix that, correct it. And it helps a lot too, knowing how fast they're gaining weight for what you're feeding and how often you're feeding. So we'll go ahead and move on to the last topic. So the last topic is kind of gross, so bear with me. Checking their poop, literally. Fresh is always the best time to check it if you can catch it. A little bit after isn't a bad thing either. Just kind of know what a poop should look like, I guess, is what you want to do. You want to see your snake have a good couple poops and make sure that you're revisiting and looking, because so when you go to the vet, a lot of times that's what they want is a stool sample or blood sample. You can kind of have an idea, and this isn't for everybody, but you can kind of have an idea of what's wrong with your snake. And just like humans, their bowel movements will change when they are ill. Not all the time, but sometimes. I should be more clear on some of this stuff. Sometimes their bowel movements will change to where it might be a little runnier than normal, or it might look different. It could be a different color, and that's kind of indicators of something being wrong. So just something to keep in mind. Again, I don't expect everybody to follow these and do these, but for the new reptile keepers, you know, these are just things I recommend. You got the people out there that's breeding 40, 50 snakes and been doing it for 30 years. You do you. Have fun. You guys know what you're doing, obviously, if you've been successful at it for this long. This is just kind of my thing as far as being a reptile owner and keeper, what I do personally and what's helped me along the way so far. So, outro. So, yeah, that was 5 things that you should be doing with your snakes or reptiles. I should have said reptiles because you can do a lot of this with lizards and other reptiles also. So, I should have said reptiles. Shoulda, woulda, coulda. Anyways, like I said, this is something for the beginners, kind of something that you guys could be doing. Things that will help you as far as you go on your journey of raising these guys and getting to know them and taking care of them and things. Again, these are all recommendations. I'm not a vet or anything like that. This is just what I do to make sure my animals are as healthy as possible. So, yep, just normal. You know, follow me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, blah, blah, blah. And feel free to reach out and let me know how I can make the videos better and stuff you guys might want to hear, see a video on, or maybe you guys are having trouble with something and you're looking for a video that you can't find on YouTube. Send me a message, let me know, I'll do a video on it. We'll get it done so you guys know what's up. Rock on, friends. I'll see you in the next one.